I've bought a lot of clamps over the years. Just wanted to give you my 2 cents on clamps and what clamps you should buy and what you shouldn't buy, and what is the junk pile versus the good pile. I'll start with some of the bigger clamps for clamping bodies down or clamping side down. The standard bar clamp, the Pony bar clamp, is pretty much one of the best clamps you could buy in terms of price. If you go to rockler.com and get the non-marring bars, they don't leave a mark when you get glue on them. These are pretty nice clamps. The Pony clamp is the industry standard. It's been around for longer than me. The bar works pretty well. You don't get any black marks or anything from the glue. I really like using these clamps. These are great clamps. My favorite clamp for going to bodies are these Jorgensen heavy duty clamps. Jorgensen makes the majority of clamps that you'll see out there in the marketplace, and this is the go-to for clamping bodies for me. It's a heavy duty, it's got an I-beam construction, it exerts a tremendous amount of pressure. The handle's really nice, it's got really nice smooth faces. The clamp doesn't ever get stuck, it doesn't ever dig in, so you don't have to worry about pounding it to get it out. My other clamp then to go to for tops would be the Jorgens Cabinet Master clamps. I kind of worn these out already because they do dig in, but this is a great clamp. It is an industry standard for cabinet making. The jaws always stay at a 90 degrees to the bar, so as you're clamping, you're not going to get any binding. So these clamps are really great for gluing tops. What I wouldn't buy would be the Bessie knockoff clamps, the Uniclamps. These Bessie clamps were bought as the replacement to the Jorgensen Cabinet Master clamps, a little bit smaller, but they don't tighten as well. The grip isn't there, and the movement isn't as smooth, and the bar isn't as thick. So I feel like these aren't as good as some of the other clamps. Mainly the Jorgensen Cabinet Master and the Jorgensen Heavy Duty. And when you start talking about C-clamps, honestly, I don't know if I would buy C-clamps if I was just starting out. I have about 3 or 4 of them, but I don't have as many as you would think. My main go-to clamp for smaller clamps are going to be these Bessie original clamps. These spindles have a lot of travel. They're heavy duty. It's kind of got an I-beam construction, and they're really easy to get open and closed. And that's what a big advantage over the C-clamp. Getting the C-clamp adjusted is real pain, and it's only got 3 inches. These are 4 inches. Obviously, they're more expensive. They're made in Germany, but you get a lot of great traction with these clamps. The knockoff that I bought, which I thought was close, was the WoodTech clamp. The only problem with the WoodTech clamp is that the paint mars everything. This paint comes off everywhere, and the clamp opening isn't as big as the Bessie. So this piece isn't as big, and the clamp head isn't as big as well. So I really don't like these WoodTech clamps. I've got 3 sets of them, and I really don't use them all that much because the face isn't as big, and the marring and the paint that's left over. So I really would buy a whole ton of Bessie clamps. In fact, I have 3 or 4 pairs of each size in this Bessie line, even to the biggest ones. These are really great clamps. They've got really great construction, really great features. I would buy a lot more of these. And then as you go through, I bought these from Grizzly. These are these claw clamps, and I thought this would be nice, but really it's just like a C-clamp. Doesn't work as well. It's not as fast. The motion isn't that smooth. Not a real big fan of this clamp. In terms of getting some smaller clamps then, I like these Bessie quick clamps as well. I have a couple of these, and these are really good when you need a quick clamp. You need to get something down real quick before you put a little bit more pressure. These always help me out. You could do this one-handed. It goes down, clicks up, and you're done. Quick release. These are really nice and handy to have. In terms of going even smaller than the Jorgensen, I can't even remember what these are called. I think these are just Jorgensen 4-inch clamps. I have a ton of these. I probably have 40 of these. And these are great for doing all little bits and pieces of work around the shop. You're gluing up a peg head, you're gluing something onto the neck or onto the body, and you need a little bit of a clamping pressure. These are great. They've got non-marring rubber feet and soles here, and it really does a great job. These are great clamps. And then when you're doing kerfing, I purchased these 1-inch clamps from Ace Hardware. And these are really the only set of C-clamps I own. I own about 30 of these. And these really help when you're doing the kerfing along the sides. There's an inch and a 2-inch. And these are really easy to move because there's only a 2-inch spindle. So they're really quick to move. I have a whole ton of these when I'm gluing up little smaller parts. You know, I've built model boats in the past, and I'll use a lot of these because they don't mar and they don't leave streaks. But they're just nice little clamps. You can get these at Ace. I think the 1-inch is about $2 to $3. And if you need something just to hold stuff down, I have a whole bunch of these Bessie, you know, hold down clamps, and these are good for, you know, doing finishing or you know, anything. The clamping pressure here isn't all that great, but these are really nice to have to just put something down and hold it in place. I would avoid getting some of the knockoff clamps. This is a knockoff of the Bessie, the 2-inch spring clamp. The spring is way too tight for it, and the plastic isn't as thick. So you'll see these, I think I got these at the checkout line at Ace. And the clamping pressure is significant here, and you don't really want that much pressure because what happens is then the metal digs into the wood. Here you've got thicker plastic, you've got not as much pressure, and it's not going to dig in, but it's going to hold things where you want them. You know, the other clamp you might want to get is a really big, deep reach clamp. This is a Pfeiffer clamp. I got it from Woodworker Supply on one of their specials. I think it's an 11-inch or 9-inch reach clamp. It's heavy duty, so it'll hold up to most applications. That's the other clamp you might want to buy, is a, you know, really deep reach heavy duty clamp when you're trying to clamp center. And then in terms of clamp storage, I have all of my clamps above my head so that as I'm working on my bench, I've got all the clamps up here. To the left there I have all my body clamps, and then to the right here I've got all my smaller clamps. And on the back side of this I've got all my heavy duty clamps because my big drill press clamp or my big wine press clamp is right here. Then all the smaller clamps I have are down here on the corner. I've got them stacked up in a nice neat fashion. You know, so a quick recap is, you know, I would go with Jorgensen or Bessie. You know, Bessie clamps for, you know, adjustable C clamps, Jorgensen for some of the smaller C clamps, and then get some of the Jorgensen heavy duty clamps like these. When you're gluing up bodies, these things are really indestructible. And then if you're gluing a lot of tops, or Jorgensen master cabinet clamps, these always stay true and are really great to use.